Hi. Um, 2023 seems to be a good year for plenty of good projects and singles to be releasing for music. And I like music a lot. I, listen to all the time, one of my favorite things. So, figure, good for me, and I like talking about music. So, instead of talking about it to absolutely no one, I figured I would record myself talking about things I've listened to throughout each month of the year and make it a series. And now I didn't do it for January because I hadn't had the idea yet. I got the idea from my friend whose video I'll put in the description or the comments or both. And so we're doing January and February together at once. Probably going to be a longer video, but that's okay. And I'm no professional music critic or reviewer, so this is just me sharing my thoughts about the things that I have listened to. So not necessarily full-fledged professional reviews, so don't expect anything too serious. I'm just having fun here. Most of my thoughts aren't going to really be that negative. That said, we can start and get into January 1st. Going by release order, from the first thing that released all the way to the last thing that released, and I'm not going singles all the way through first and albums first. I'm just going to go in order, so if I go single album, that's okay, that's what I'm going to do, because I prefer to do that. And I'm not going to be covering singles that released for albums that I'm going to be covering. So for January, Silent Running by Gorillaz released, but I'm not going to be covering that since it's on the album and the album already came out, and it's in the video. So things like that, and the Suicide Boys and Shake Well single. I won't be reviewing that in February because the EP is already out and I have reviewed that too. But starting first is the second single of Priya's upcoming 5th album in March, is Seen It All Before with Delmar. Seen It All Before is the second single of Priya's upcoming 5th album and released on January 13th. It differs a lot from the first single, which was more of a nu metal song, while this is a more somber orchestral song. The instrumental is produced by Delmar, which I believe he produced everything except for the latest single so far, and brings more string instruments with a beat over it for the song. And Priya's verses are softer and somber, as well as the chorus, which brings in Delmar for backup. Priya's vocals are surprisingly good in my opinion, and in the verses, and I believe it's also in the chorus, it sounds pretty good, using a softer tone, which I really didn't expect to enjoy too much from him. But I will admit the song took until listening again for this video to really, really hit with me and like, because it just wasn't hitting at first. But perfect timing, it caught up with me, and right before I wanted to make this video, I like it a lot now, so I'd say I give it a 7 out of 10. The second release of January is the first project by essentially K-pop supergroup Got the Beat. Stamp on it. This supergroup consists of multiple huge K-pop idols, all in SM Entertainment. Boa, Winter of aespa, Hyoyeon and Taeyeon of Girls' Generation, Karina, and finally Selgi and Windy of Red Velvet, who are my personal favorites. And I do hope I pronounced this right, because I don't know if I did. Probably didn't. And Stamp on It, which is their first mini album, was released on January 16th and features 6 songs. My favorites and the strongest to me are Alter Ego and Goddess Level, while Mala I think is the weakest on the mini album. The instrumentals and beats are actually really good and a pretty good high point of it, and they offer a good amount of variety to the mini album with different sounds, so it's not just one thing the entire way through, and it all blends well together. And of course, a high point in all of K-pop, in my opinion, is usually vocals. Usually the vocals are really good, especially in girl groups, and this is a great example of that, because there's some great vocals on here. They all sing and go very well, and mixes well with the instrumentals, and I'd say it all works so good together. It's very good, and I give this release an 8 out of 10. Third release of January is another K-pop release, this time a single from popular group Twice from their upcoming Ready to Be project called Moonlight Sunrise.
I don't know how to say this. All the songs on your playlist. This feeling so hard to explain.
Sunrise released on January 20th as the lead single for Ready to Be, which releases on March 10th. Twice can be a bit of a hit or miss group for me overall. I like some songs a lot, and then a lot of times I just don't care for some of the songs. But Moonlight Sunrise was definitely a hit. I loved it on first listen, liked it a lot. The synths and electronics on the instrumental were really, really good, and it's one of my favorite instrumentals, and probably one of my favorite songs by them in general now. And like I said with Got the Beat, you can always expect always good vocals with K-pop releases, and it's the same with this. Twice is very good. Their vocals are fantastic, and they're fantastic and really shine on this single as well. The chorus, I really like the chorus a lot. Hooked me immediately. Great song, and I give it an 8 out of 10. The final release of January was Chains by Kurt Uinala and Dave Gahan, frontman of Depeche Mode. Chains released on January 24th and is a solo single following the release of the Manuscript EP that Kurt Uinala and Dave Gahan previously released together in 2022, and I believe December. Chains is a very industrial sounding song to me, instrumental wise, with a lot of synth and bass to it, and the bass hits you right in the face pretty much right as the song starts. It's very fun, and I like the beat a lot, and Dave's vocals on this are great and kind of sound a bit eerie, I'd say, with more electronic effect on his voice, which I think is really cool. And both of them, Kurt's instrumental and Dave's vocals, sound great together, make for a really good song, and I give it another 8 out of 10. As I said, that was a final release for January, and we're now heading into February, which is sort of more releases and more exciting releases to me. February's first release is the Slipknot single, Bone Church. Bone Church released on February 2nd, and Slipknot themselves stated that it came out as sort of a jam session. It wasn't always something they were going to make. They decided to produce it into a full song. So with that in mind, I'll admit I didn't expect much from it, but I was surprised and enjoyed the song quite a bit. It's not a traditional Slipknot song with heavy riffs or screams from Corey. That's not bad, and I usually like that more personally. The instrumental itself, I'd say, sounds haunting and could easily be put into like a movie's intro or end credits, and Corey's vocals and lyrics only add to this effect, in my opinion. Now, I do think that Slipknot has plenty of songs that do this. In fact, one of my favorite songs by them, Prelude 3.0, I only got into because of a YouTube Left 4 Dead SFM video. Used it in I don't know if it was the intro, but at least used it in the video. And I couldn't find the original, but I could find a re-upload of it, and the video is called Darkest Days, and I'll put that down below as well. Just if you want to check it out. It has some pretty good songs in it, I think. With that said, I really enjoyed this single, and I'd give it a 7 out of 10. February's second release is the third single and first single of February off of Redbox's Afterthoughts. And the single is called Forget Her.
Forget her, forget her, it'll make you feel better. Forget her.
Forget Her, released on February 3rd, 1 month before Afterthoughts, and followed after 2 other singles previously released last year. It's different, but yet it's still in the same boat as all the singles. I'd say every single so far has been different, but it's managed to sound like they belong on the same album, which I think Red Fox does that very, very well. Forgetter is more of a mellow, somber song. It features some softer vocals as well as more acoustic, instrumental, that kind of feels like you're walking outside on a nicer day, which I'd say differs from the lyrics because it seems more sad, but I guess you could interpret them as being more of a moving on type thing, so at the same time it could be a positive thing. To say the song grew on me is a huge, huge understatement, because I felt that it was at first a very underwhelming single. I liked it, but I didn't think much of it, and especially since it was a single, I expected a lot more from it, especially because Red Fox is my favorite band, and I love everything they've released, so I expected more, but after listening and listening and listening and listening, I now love it. I like it a lot. It's really good in my opinion, and it's caught on so much. It's really catchy. It's stuck in my head a lot. And the music video only makes it more enjoyable, as it features every Red Box fan's favorite alien, Norse. A lot of you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. Well, that's whatever. Originally, I gave the song a 7, but with how much it grew on me, I'd now give it an 8 out of 10. The third release of February is Depeche Mode's first single off of Memento Mori, titled Ghosts Again. We'll be ghosts again. Ghosts Again released on February 9th, but not after they teased us with a countdown for a week that just led into another countdown for another week for the single. A bit of BS marketing, I'd say, but that's besides the point. Anyways, it's the first single for their upcoming album, Memento Mori, which is following their last release in 2017, Spirit, and is their first release since founding member Andy Fletcher unfortunately passed away last year, 2022. Personally, I wouldn't have put it past them to just retire and stop making music, or at least retire the Depeche Mode band and just focus on themselves. But they ended up responding with a fantastic single in Ghosts Again that really hit it out of the park, and then some. The instrumental is amazing and just sounds great all the way through. The synths and bass really hit well, and the piano works perfectly with that synth and bass, as well as the guitar that Martin plays. Dave's vocals are some of his best in my opinion, and are really beautiful on the song, and do wonders to make the song even better than it already is. They really did outdo themselves, and I'd give this a 9 out of 10. The fourth release of February is Priya's third single for this upcoming album he has, and it's called Hard to Break a Habit When You Fall in Love.
A lot to escape the weight of the world, so I don't judge on the intake of drugs. Hard to break a habit when you fall in love. I've been trying to get it right, but I've been fucking up. Baby, could you tell me that I'm strong enough? I wanna be the one for you.
Hard to Break a Habit When You Fall in Love released on February 10th, and followed Seen It All Before as the third single for this upcoming album. Once again, it's produced by Delmar and is very soothing, I'd say, beat, and I like it a lot. It's probably my favorite of the singles. It features some nice percussion and some amazing saxophone on it, and I'm always a fan of that, and Priya really does have good songs. When it features more, I don't say jazz, but jazzy type beats, it really does work wonders for him. Priya's verses on it sound really, really good, and it's, like I said, my favorite single by far, and I'd give it a 9 out of 10. The fifth release of February is Inside by Casey Lee Williams and Martin Gonzalez, which is the intro of web series and my favorite series, personally, Ruby Volume 9.
Inside, I'm ready, but who will I find?
Is the intro song for popular web series Ruby, his latest volume, Volume 9. Jeff Williams retired from music last year, 2022, and he made all the Ruby soundtracks. But now that he's retired, Casey Lee Williams and her OK Goodnight bandmate, Martin Gonzalez, helm a soundtrack for Ruby. Casey already did vocals for Ruby previously and has written a few songs, but Martin has not previously worked with Ruby. As mentioned, Casey and Martin are in the prog rock band OK Goodnight together, and you can hear the influence it has just on this one song we've heard from them so far alone. And I really do like that a lot. I love OK Goodnight, so I'm perfectly fine with them just making more OK Goodnight sounding songs for Ruby Volume 9 and any other Ruby volumes they're working on together. Inside features some fantastic guitar riffs from Martin all through the song, as well as an amazing guitar solo. He has established himself to me already as an amazing guitarist, and he's only done more just on this song alone to prove that further. The synths are really good in this song. I really like the electronic sounds. They work very well. The drums go very hard and they're very good. I don't know if it's Martin or who, but the drums are fantastic and the song is perfect and really does sound like a prog rock song, which for, like I said, OK Goodnight is prog rock, so that makes sense. Casey's vocals are insanely good, which is to be expected because she is an insanely good vocalist. I already knew this. You can always expect her to be really, really good because her voice is just perfect. And I really can't wait for what Casey and Martin have in store for us for the rest of Ruby Volume 9 and for any other Ruby Volume they work on together. And a great Inside, a 10 out of 10. February's 6th release is Priya's 4th single for his album, Bitch Again, with Young Gravy.
If I don't want to waste, I'm fucking on your bitch again. 3 a.m. I'm wide awake, I'm fucking on your bitch again. You spending money on your date, I'm fucking on your bitch.
Bitch Again released on February 24th and is the 4th single from his upcoming 5th album and features Young Gravy, unfortunately. I'll get right into it and say that I do not like Young Gravy, and never have. He just does not sound good to me. His verses are so monotone, and he just does not work. I know people like him, I know he's really popular, but it just does not work for me, and I really don't like him at all. And his verses are always just goofy and don't really work well. I mean, this is a sillier song, but even then it just doesn't work. He just never matches on anything he's on. That aside, the song would be so much better without him, and Priya, at the least, is great on this song, and it's some of the best he's ever sounded. His verses is one of my favorite verses he's ever done, and the chorus is silly, but I like it a lot still. It's really great. And the producer, 702, not Delmar, 702 produced this song, and a really good beat, and I love it a lot. It's one of my favorite beats from Priya ever. But all of this gets undermined by Young Gravy being on the song. Without him, I do confidently believe it would be a 9 out of 10, but with him, it's a 7 out of 10. February's 7th release is the album Cracker Island by Gorillaz. Cracker Island released on February 24th and is the 8th album following 2020's Song Machine Season 1 Strange Times, as well as following 2021's Meanwhile EP. It features 10 songs, some with big artists such as Bad Bunny, Thundercat, Beck, and Stevie Nicks of Fleetwood Mac fame. Despite these big features though, the album isn't as great as it could be and is overall a letdown. It has its high points, but a good amount of lows too. My favorite songs are Tarantula and Baby Queen. Those songs are very good, and I love the synths and the electronics on them. And Damon Albarn's voice I like a lot on those two songs as well. But the final 3 songs on it, especially Skinny Ape, Tormenta with Bad Bunny, and Possession Island with Beck, are not good. Skinny Ape, I wholeheartedly believe, is the worst song they have ever made, and I don't like it at all. While Tormenta and Possession Island are just boring songs to me and didn't really hit. They're not bad, but they just didn't hit with me and they're boring, and I don't really think they should be on the album. All the singles, other than Skinny Ape, were really good, like Cracker Island with Thundercat and New Gold with Booty Brown and Tame Impala. Oil with Stevie Nicks is good, but just does not hit that much, but I do like it. The Tired Influencer, though, I do think is really, really good, and I like that song a lot. But overall, Cracker Island is a disappointing album, and I only rate it a 7 out of 10, with the really good songs saving it from being a 6. Before I switch to the next release, I need to cover the Cracker Island Deluxe, which featured 5 new tracks and released 3 days later on February 27th.
Can't comfort you, cause I'm trying to run from you. Always urgent, spooks you could probably call. Dodging is my hobby, y'all. I have several bodyguards.
Cracker Island Deluxe, as I said, features 5 new songs. One of them is a piano version of Silent Running, and the other is a remix of New Gold, which was previously released. I would personally say that I'm not going to cover these because they're just remixes, and I don't really care about those. I will cover the 3 new songs. Captain Chicken, which features a previous Gorillaz collaborator on popular song Clint Eastwood, Del the Funky Homo Sapien. It's a really good song, but it's only like a minute, 2 minutes long, and it's pretty short, which is a bit underwhelming to me, but it's still a good song. Controlla features MC Bin Laden. I didn't care for it. It just didn't hit with me. It's a boring song to me. And then Crocodillas, which features Don Penn and De La Soul. Rest in peace, Trugoy. Unfortunately, the song didn't do much for me. It didn't hit very well, although De La Soul did sound really good on it. The deluxe tracks just don't do much to add to the album, and I'd have to give them a 6 out of 10. And if I reviewed the deluxe tracks and the base album all together, it'd only be, once again, a 6 out of 10. The 8th release of February is the Shameless Suicide EP by rap duo Suicide Boys and their friend Shakewell. Shameless Suicide released once again on February 24th and is the first EP by Suicide Boys and Shakewell, but not their first time collaborating, as they have worked on songs like Venom together. It consists of 7 songs they all made together. It's a very good release following what I think are personally disappointing releases from last year by Suicide Boys with their solo album and their EP with Germ. This EP, though, has mostly great songs other than Gutter Bravado, which just sounds like a filler to me. My favorite songs, though, are Big Shot Cream Soda, the single, and 6 Lines, 2 Dragons, and A Messiah, which I do really like those songs a lot. The beats are produced very, very well, and I'd say especially Whole Lotta Grey is a very surprising song and a really different beat for Suicide Boys. Ruby, Scrim, and Shakewell all have really good verses and sound great throughout the EP, and I like it a lot. They sound great. One thing is I do think if you remove the intro from the title track, Shameless Suicide, and switched it with Big Shot Cream Soda, from the first place to the last place, if Big Shot Cream Soda started it and Shameless Suicide finished it, I think it would work well more as an EP, but other than that, it's still really great. With that said, the EP is very good, and I rate it an 8 out of 10. Final release of February, and final release of this video, is the final single and second single of this month of Redbox's Afterthoughts, titled Playing by the Rules.
I've been playing by the rules and I just can't get out of bed. I've been saying more than you, but I don't have any more left.
Playing by the Rules released on February 24th, 1 week before Afterthoughts, and is the final single of the album. Unlike Forgetter, I love this song immediately. The instrumental is very good and brings kind of a groove, I'd say, to the album. Vinny's vocals are very good and come through well on the track. The synths sound amazing, especially near the end. They shine a lot, and that made me enjoy it more. It features a fantastically made music video as well, and that only adds to it. It's a great song to bring hype just a week before Afterthoughts, and I'd give it a 9 out of 10. That's everything for the first 2 months of 2023, January and February. There were a few releases I didn't mention, such as Code Orange's What Is Really Underneath album, which is just a remix album, so I didn't really care for covering it, such as The Weeknd's Die For You remix with Ariana Grande, because it's just a remix. I didn't cover All But Six's first album, which features notable rappers such as Priya, because I just didn't care for the singles, and I didn't want to listen to it if I didn't care for the singles. Other than that, I talked about everything I listened to these 2 months, new release-wise. and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm going to try to make one every month, but if one month is kind of dry, then maybe I'll combine it with the next one. See you in my next video, whatever that is. Bye.